Hey guys, I just wanted to make a video going over my current Stasis Hunter build because I think it will be very viable in the endgame next season. Just to preface this, several months ago my PC blue screened and I lost a ton of footage, and now my PC really struggles to record. And because of this, I haven't been able to make a lot of the videos I've been wanting to make, but I really wanted to put this out before Witch Queen because, well, it sounds like they completely ruined my favorite Void builds. So I just want to start off apologizing for any choppy footage. I know for some people it can be like really unbearable to watch that. But for now, let's get right into it. I wanted to start with Stasis, as it's the most set build that I think will be viable for the upcoming raid. The new Void 3.0 will have a lot of variability that needs to be tested when the changes are actually live. I have some ideas, but for Stasis, I know this build is viable. I used a much weaker Stasis build for most of my Deepstone Crypts day one, and it worked perfectly fine. This build is all about maximizing both utility and DPS. For my exotic armor piece, I currently use Aeon Swifts, with the mod that gives your team ammo on you using finishers. The other exotics you could run for this are Star Eater Scales, Mask of Bacchus, and Frosties. Quickly, I'll just go through why I don't use these exotics personally. Star Eater Scales give you the best DPS buff from an exotic, and they give you greater super uptime. However, Orb Generation is nerfed heavily next season, so this exotic by proxy is being nerfed. Mask of Bacchus gives no utility, and basically is a lower DPS buff than Star Eater Scales, so I never really valued these very highly. Lastly, Frosties give you maybe the best utility perk in the game. I just don't personally enjoy the loop of using an ability and then sprint, and then constantly looping between those. But there is one other exotic we need to consider. Next season, hunters get a new gauntlet, Renewal Grasps, that will buff your dusk fields, giving them a larger radius, damage resist to any allies inside of it, and damage reduction to any enemies inside of it. This is a fantastic utility, and what I'm going to be basing this build around. So let's get into the details. Obviously we're going to be using the Stasis subclass. For dodge, either one's viable, but I will personally use Marksman Dodge for the lower cooldown and the DPS increase during a damage phase. Any jump is fine, but I use triple jump. The melee rarely comes into play with this build, but if you can find a use for it, by all means feel free to spam them. For grenade, we'll obviously need to use Duskfield to pair with Renewal Grasps. For aspects, we need Touch of Winter to add a Stasis Crystal to our Duskfield, and Grim Harvest to create Stasis Shards on all slowed enemy kills. This also gives us 5 fragments, which is the maximum amount we can get. The necessary fragments for this build are Whisper of Shards for increased grenade recharge, and Whisper of Conduction for Stasis Shards tracking to you. I'll also run Whisper of Chains for recovery, Whisper of Fissures for more damage on shatters, Whisper of Durance for longer dusk fields, or Whisper of Rending so my kinetic weapons destroy stasis crystals faster. You can mix and match all of those last 4. For combat mods, I like to have Protective Light for survivability, so I need some way to get charged with light. For this, I run Elemental Charge, which makes all elemental wells give charge with light. To create these elemental wells, I run both Elemental Shards, which turns all your stasis shards into elemental wells, and Supreme Wellmaker, which creates 3 stasis wells every time you use your super. Lastly, I use Font of Might to get a damage buff to stasis weapons for 10 seconds after collecting a stasis elemental well. Usually I pair this with Reed's Regret, Zephyr, and Iasluna. The only other mods that help this build a lot are 2 grenade kickstarts. These require 8 mod slots on a stasis gauntlet, so it really limits your one armor piece, but the rest of the set is really flexible. These mods are required to have a 7-second cooldown on your dusk field, which just makes the build loop really well. So the basic loop goes like this. You enter combat by throwing a dusk field. This will freeze and slow enemies nearby, and give them a damage reduction. You then kill a frozen enemy if there is one, or just shoot the crystal in the middle if not. This triggers your grenade recharge, and creates stasis shards. These will track to you and give you a stasis weapon damage buff, and 2 charge with light stacks. After around 7 seconds you'll have another dusk field and can repeat this process infinitely. For adds, that's about all you need to remember. Toss a dusk field, kill them, repeat. When you get to a boss, you throw your super, pick up one of the wells, and start to DPS. When you are reloading or run out of the buff, whichever, you can pick up another stasis well to refresh your font of might. I don't know what my squall was doing in this clip, but if it was actually freezing Callie, it would have been doing even more damage than it did. Lastly, I'd like to go over a pretty niche but interesting thing you can do. Zephyr is a stasis sword, and for some reason, if you have Grim Harvest on, every kill with Zephyr will make a stasis shard, even if you're not using Cold Steel. I assume this is because of a weird interaction between sword attacks counting as a melee, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this allows you to create stasis shards every kill, giving Font of Might infinitely, and it pairs really well with the Whisper of Rhyme fragment, which gives overshield for each stasis shard. So this build's been my go-to for DPS the past season, but also it's one of the best utility builds in the game. I think it'll be a very useful thing to have ready for the day 1 raid if you main Hunter, as well as some of the Void builds I'm exploring now. I might try to get a video out on those if I can, but for now, thanks for watching.